Hi everyone, in today's video I will review 4 crash course psychology. They are from the episode 18 to episode 21, about the knowledge growth, about the morality, about adolescence, and about some different psychologists' perspectives. I feel each one explores a different layer of the human development and personality, from how we learn to how we form moral judgments and discover our identity. I think that is just the eternal topic across many disciplines, and understand our deeper selves. So let's see. First is about episode 18. I remember it talks about the knowledge, and the knowledge develops through our lives. It always starts with the idea of the schemas. So it is like a mental framework, and we can use to interpret the world. When a child sees a deer but calls it a horsey, that is assimilation, because the child tries to feed new information into what they already know, if they know the horse before. But learning that deer are not horses and changing that mental category, that is called accommodation. Basically, this episode introduces the Piaget's 4 stage of cognitive development. It talks about the cognitive development, but it's just based on the one psychologist's perspective. I will skip a lot of the details about the cognitive development. But I feel it's very reasonable. But as we know, it's the earlier in psychology, because they don't have empirical or some type of we call it the scientific method to measure what they want to say, because they are basically from observations and their experiences with their patients or with people. So that is the early time of the psychology. And to the end, this episode also reminds us learning is a social activity. The teachers and the peers support and guide each other, and just what we do in these days. But in general, this episode shows that the growing knowledge isn't simply accumulating facts. It's about transforming how we perceive the world. In the episode 19, it talks about monkeys and morality. I feel it tries to show us some emotional bonds and moral behaviors. Especially they are talking about some experiments. So some experiments is it's called the Harlow monkey experiment, which revealed that the young monkeys preferred a soft, comforting mother even when a wire surrogate provided food. I feel okay, seems like an emotional attachment, right? So I remember I also wrote articles about the attachment between the people and the robots or the chatbots or different things like toys or their pets, the animals, of course. So the emotional attachment is developed based on the specific conditions, but we still don't know how they can evolve with time, because that could be very individual and case by case. Next, it talks about some how humans have different categories of the attachments, like the separation anxiety and stranger anxiety, and some different attachment styles. In general, I feel this episode tries to describe the moral development, but it mentions a lot more about the emotional bonds or the social bonds, and these bonds can get refined over time. I think our sense of right and wrong can grow from basic emotional needs before it evolves into culture and reflection. The next episode is about the adolescence. So it seems like it skips the infant stage and then going to some, just the teenager stage, the adolescence. Definitely it is very critical because it is a transition from the childhood to adulthood. This episode defines it as the period between puberty and independence, when our bodies, minds, and social lives rapidly evolve. So it's like basically brains from the Eric Erickson's stage of identity versus some role confusion, where the teenagers explore who they are and how they fit into the world. Success leads to a coherent sense of self. Confusion can lead to a lack of direction. As adolescents search for authenticity, they may experiment with various identities through friends, beliefs, or interests, sometimes facing confusion before setting into a stable sense of self. It's a time of both highs and deep self-reflection. These years see the stage not just for adulthood, but for who we become. But I still remember one specific part that talks about childhood influence. Not sure whether in this episode or in the previous ones. It's like the experiences during the very young childhood can affect the people for the rest of their lives. Totally true, right? So yeah, this is kind of like we are trying to see some like an unconditional love for the young child, and to ensure they will have a better like this kind of psychological feelings in their childhood. And the next episode 21 is describing different perspectives. First, it is about the classic kind of one school of thought is called Rorschach ink block test. Basically, it is like kind of like a game. If we try to describe what we see from the ink blocks. So the psychologist Rorschach believes that what we see in abstract shapes reveals something deep about our personality. But this is his opinion, and the critics have called it unreliable, but it still remains a landmark in psychological testing. Then it describes the Sigmund Freud. The theories come into the personality. And Freud believes that the personality is shaped by some tension between our primitive impulses, the ED, and the ID, they call it actually the ID, not the ED, sorry, and our moral conscience, superego, and the realistic negotiating self, the ego. So they are kind of the three different things. This is based on the Freud's theory. And there is a defense mechanism, like a projection. So, and also it can like a reaction formulation. There are different things help us to manage the inner conflict. So it's like he analyzes different conflicts may happen in between, and give them different terminologies to describe what happened. I will also skip the details because I feel these are just like psychology history. It's like get us better to know what has been discovered and developed and discussed before, around like 100 years ago. So that is, I feel in next videos it will talk more about the behavior studies and about the human development. It also mentions about the humanistic view. That is another stream, and I think that seems like more interesting because like the Maslow's the hierarchies hierarchy of needs, as well as other psychologists like the Carl Rogers. So they are the humanistic stream. Basically, I feel the cognitive growth is super interesting to me because it reminds me about the lifelong learning and the lifelong development of our cognition, as well as the knowledge, as well as different, the perceptions. So I feel the most mysterious part is the perception system, and it seems like in different stages we will have totally different perspectives. How wonderful. And that is maybe also shows like the changing is the fundamental thing like across our lives. As well, the personality, I feel that the topic is super interesting because the personality is very hard to define. Even people trying to use like the MBTI to describe their personality, which I feel that is just a temporary thing. A lot of things are overlapping and are influencing with each other, like the knowledge, emotion, identity, and the unconscious. So I feel we just can grasp a little piece of that, but we can, with learning and with more understanding, we can we can get a more clear picture of ourselves. I feel that is the most important question. And thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward for future learning. Bye.